All I want is this.
R.E.P.O is a fun game. And one thing that surprised me about R.E.P.O compared to other lethal likes isn't just how popular it's gotten, it's how large its competitive scene has gotten, and how it's grown so quickly. Between speedruns and high-level runs, the game's competitive scene is surprisingly large, compared even to Lethal Company's competitive scene. But one thing in particular has stuck out to me as odd, albeit very intriguing. There are a lot of people playing R.E.P.O solo, like a surprising amount. So that got me wondering, what makes R.E.P.O solo so intriguing to people? In order to figure that out, I decided to play it myself to see what the hype is all about. So let's not waste time and get right into why people play R.E.P.O solo. For starters, part of the reason R.E.P.O is much more fun to play solo compared to other lethal likes is the game's base structure. When comparing R.E.P.O to other lethal likes, R.E.P.O is a lot less dependent on RNG for a player to succeed. Sure, certain elements definitely affect how good one run can be, but compared to even Lethal Company itself, it's not nearly as bad. The most RNG dependent things I can think of immediately are just shop RNG, monsters, and items. Most of the time, however, these factors never really feel like they're heavily based on RNG. Instead, it feels more like the player is given a scenario and is forced to work with it, whether they want to or not. Not only does this affect the game's longevity and competitive scene entirely, in terms of solo, it heavily increases the amount of fun a player can have while playing. A big issue with other lethal likes is the fact that since they can be so RNG dependent, a death in solo, which typically means an entire run lost in most lethal likes, can feel heart-shattering. It can make a player not want to touch the game for a while because they lost their entire efforts just to some bad RNG. For example, let's look at Lethal Company itself for a second. Now I just want to preface this by saying I'm not trying to dog on Lethal here. It's a great game. However, a lot of the solo deaths in that game, especially for higher level players, just boil down to pure RNG sometimes. Maybe your point blank shotgun shot somehow missed the bracken. Maybe an eyeless dog you were trying to bait just decided to charge just a little too long. Maybe even you just get struck by random lightning. Whatever the case, these RNG deaths can make any solo player just not want to play, knowing that even if you restart and get another run going, one struck of semi-bad RNG can kill your run. On the flip side, in R.E.P.O, because the game feels much less RNG dependent, even a solo death doesn't necessarily feel that bad. Sure, bad RNG can kill any run from time to time, but at least in my experience playing solo, I felt that my deaths were mostly skill issues, and that I'd need to use it to learn for next time. That's partially why so many people are playing the game solo. Dying doesn't feel nearly as bad compared to other games in the genre. Part of this, however, could be from the fact that, initially, R.E.P.O was designed to be solo. If you haven't already checked out the dev Q&A, which you should, they mentioned that the game was going to be single player at first.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, Repo was a single player cleaning game, so here's some footage of that. Yes, you were a man cleaning Headman Manor, trying to avoid Headman. It was nice, but far from what Repo is now.
Having the game being initially designed around solo could also contribute as to why it feels good to play solo in the first place. The game was literally designed to be played that way at first. Although, do take that with a grain of salt, as I'm not entirely sure when the devs started designing the game to be multiplayer friendly. Moving on to the gameplay now, playing solo in R.E.P.O feels challenging, and overcoming that challenge feels incredibly rewarding. While at the time of writing this, I've only played a few hours of solo, I can confidently say it is just such a fun challenge. Getting all kinds of different combinations of enemies that you have to work around without sacrificing your friends is just fun. It feels amazing when you get a terrible combo of enemies, yet you manage to work around it and make it out relatively unscathed. Strangely enough, I found that one of the more lethal combos was the Chef and the Apex Predator. Two enemies that, by themselves, aren't very scary, but put together against one person, you better hope that Chef doesn't accidentally hit that poor ducky. Don't forget to mention that you're stuck alone to carry every single object. No help from your teammates to move that giant griffin. You're on your own for that one. Thankfully, the devs did think of this, and the feather drone exists, and it's a godsend. But if you don't have it yet, good luck moving that big statue. Now, while that may sound boring or just flat out not fun on paper, it's that rewarding feeling that you get after you successfully manage to maneuver all your items around everything that just feels so damn good. That's what makes solo so fun. It's both challenging and rewarding to play. It's a completely different experience compared to multiplayer. That itself is also another reason why people are playing it solo. It's an entirely different experience from multiplayer. With multiplayer, you're typically goofing off with your friends, having fun, doing stupid things, and even in more professional multiplayer, you're still playing much differently than you would in single player.
Dude, I just heard a distant explosion. Run!
Certain things have to be taken into account, like splitting upgrades, who's taking what equipment, and what each person's job is. In solo, it's completely different. Since you're on your own, all the upgrades and equipment are yours to keep, and you're in charge of all the jobs. It's a one-man cheeseburger apocalypse type scenario. There's no more goofing off with friends.
Hey. Direct me. Or don't. Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Watching your friends die in funny ways.
Oh, the duck! Fuck!
Run!
What?
She died immediately!
You are locked in, if you want to be. Playing solo provides a wholly different playstyle and experience that a lot of players are already craving for. It's unique, and that's part of why everyone is playing solo. There's also the fact that you alone are entirely responsible for the fate of your run. No worrying about friends messing something up. You have complete control over what happens in your run. Getting annoyed that your friends keep killing each other and you, forcing you to keep your health low? Just play solo. Mad that your friend somehow broke that grandfather clock that was so easy to move. Seriously, how did you mess? Just play solo. Plus, then you have no one to blame but yourself for your own failure. As a guy who's constantly accusing his friends of his own failure in games, this just perfectly forces me to face the harsh reality of skill issue in a great way. Solo just offers much more control over how your own game goes. Another factor that might play into why a person would want to play R.E.P.O solo is that without your friends, the game gets a lot scarier. While some may not care for the horror, or some may not even be affected by it, some players will definitely be seeking that thrill of the scare, and single player offers that damn well. This turns what is initially seen as a funny haha watch your friends scream game into occasionally pure nightmare fuel. I don't think I'll ever not get jump scared by a peeper or really anything just walking through the door suddenly. Flying solo just creates a much more quiet atmosphere for the game. Without your friends, it helps build up immense amounts of tension, just waiting for the next creature to walk through a door only for you to not even realize they're right behind you. It really adds to the experience of the game. And I know this term gets thrown around a lot nowadays, but it makes it incredibly immersive. It's just plain old fun getting a good scare when you least expect it. Solo offers that in multitudes. Or getting a good scare when you're just so zoned in and then it just BAM! It hits you. Like I mentioned, it's an utterly different experience than any other way to play the game. Just like multiplayer, solo offers some unforgettable moments to the player. It provides stories to tell, to share around with your friends, and pass down through generations like it's a fable or a tall tale. It reminds me of how a lot of experienced players in Deep Rock Galactic will pass down and share stories with their fellow dwarves over at the Abyss Bar. This isn't something I've seen much of in other lethal likes, especially not in solo, but R.E.P.O just somehow manages to capture that feeling, that want to pass the story to your friends, a story that you'll never forget. So not only does solo provide these precious moments, but so does the game as a whole. So, should you play Repo solo yourself? I'd heavily suggest it, actually. It's a unique experience that, while may or may not be for everyone, is really fun in my opinion. Even if you're not too interested in playing these kinds of games solo, I'd still at least check it out. Who knows? Maybe you'll find your next autistic obsession. Or maybe you'll shit your pants once and never touch solo again. Either way, I highly recommend checking it out at least once. It's fun, unique, and totally different from multiplayer. Thanks for watching this video. I know this isn't normally what I make, but I've always enjoyed these kinds of videos, so I wanted to make one myself, especially with how obsessed I've been with Repo recently. I even busted out my old headset with a better mic quality just for this vid. Don't expect that for my normal gameplay vids though. My actual headset is nicer in every way except the microphone, so hopefully one day I just get a bigger desk and a better microphone. Anyways, thanks for checking out this video.